try to give you a few really important points that I hope are going to help you. So I started by saying that I was a nurse, and I'm a psychiatric nurse and a fertility nurse, which is a good combination to have. And what I'm most passionate about when I work with patients is making sure that I give you information, and then you can try to make the best decisions. Because unfortunately what happens is you get so overwhelmed with information, and then you have to figure out what's right and what's not. And I've learned over the last 16 years of being a nurse in this field that there are some really critical pieces, and if you understand them, it makes it much easier. So, and they talked about some of that stuff downstairs. I want to tell you why people come to us for Jewish donors and surrogates. A lot of people think that the reason people come for Jewish donors, and that has been the bulk of our work, by the way, the donors has been most of what we've done. People think it's something to do with halakha. Maybe, I don't know, 40% care about the halakha, and most of our families who come to us are coming because they just want to have some sense of connection to the donor, and they're Jewish and that's what they understand, and so they're not so worried where the genetics is coming from. We have a lot of, because I work in the United States and there's a lot of mixed marriage, we have donors who have fathers who are Jewish and they were raised Jewish and mothers who were Jewish, so it's kind of a mishmash. So not everybody is even halakhically Jewish. But the people who come to us are coming for lots of different reasons. It's not one specific reason. So if you're not dati, you don't have to think, oh, I don't need a Jewish donor. And you're obviously all sitting in this room because you have some interest in hearing more about Jewish donors. I think, when I think about your families, that as a psychiatric nurse, one of the things I think about is, children and their identity. And we all know that struggle for who am I, that figuring it out, who are you. I think that one of the things that I think sometimes makes it much easier for a child who's coming out of a family with, a gay dad or two gay dads is again, to have certain things can make it easier, in my opinion. And I think one of those things that might make it easier is when you use a Jewish donor, because it's not as complicated to explain that. And when you have a non-Jewish donor, you might be faced with this child who's thinking, well, I'm raised Jewish and I live in Israel and I have a Jewish identity, but all of a sudden you've introduced the fact that you had an Irish Catholic donor, and then it's a little bit hard to make sense. And I think my most radical story was I had an Israeli mom, single mom, who found a really lovely donor. I used to have non-Jewish donors, and we still have a few, but like totally non-Jewish, no Jewish at all. And she found a beautiful Syrian girl, Muslim Syrian, and I just said, you can't do this. It's not a good idea, because how's your child going to process all of this? It's going to be a little difficult. So I think that, again, I don't know the reason that each one of you is in this room, but, whatever your reason is, then I'm really happy to tell you about the work that we do, and again, anything I can do to help you, I'm really honored to do that. I want to...
The PowerPoint is up, by the way.
Oh, it's up, okay. Oh, great. All right, yeah. So this is what you must be feeling like right now, and I'm going to help you. I want to talk about a few things that will help you. So one of the things that we, as nurses, because our organization is run by nurses, and we have medical people with 75 years of experience, I'm very passionate about making sure that you have all of the information you need, because you go to the next slide, because you really have a right to have information. So here we have Bar Rafaeli, which would be really awesome if you were your donor. But the problem is, if you didn't really know a lot about our family history, then it's really not good enough. This is my opinion, but I think that our families have a right to as much information as possible. Sivan actually is our donor intake coordinator. She does the bulk of the screening with medical people who help with that process. And I want to show you what's not uncommon at agencies out there who screen differently than we do. And so it's not, I don't know if you can see this, but if you see, there's no aunts and uncles listed here. So this is, I've seen these, and I'm always like in shock when I see a donor profile that how many of you have seen donor profile? Maybe I should ask that question. You have. Sometimes the donor profile has grandmother and grandparents, horim, and then siblings, brothers and sisters, and that's all.
Not always.
Sometimes they don't even have siblings, and a lot of them don't have aunts and uncles. What is the problem with that? Well, I'll share with you Sivan's story. She's a lovely girl, and I would love to use her as an egg donor if I were you. I think she would be a good match. I would never use her as an egg donor because her family history is just not good enough. There's issues in the family. So if you don't do that screening and you don't really work hard to collect that information, you basically are leaving yourself with what I call a gaping hole. It's a big hole in the history. And to me, as a psychiatric nurse and as a nurse, it's very scary to do that. I think you should never leave yourselves in that situation. I don't care if you have Bar Rafaeli as your, donor, but I think you have to be very careful to ask all the right questions, and also to feel like you have a right to ask the questions. So if you go to an agency and you happen to find a donor and she doesn't have any information on aunts and uncles, guess what? You deserve to have that. The other thing I want to show you is that if you see here, again, it's hard to read, I apologize, but we have a grandfather who's 91 and there's a grandmother here who's 85. Oh, that's great, but chances are they have something wrong with them and you don't know anything about it because it's not listed here. And those things can be really critical. Here we have a grandfather who died at 76 of a heart attack. There's a difference between a grandfather who died at 76 of a heart attack and had no history before that, and what if that grandfather at 76 had bypass surgery at 40, a second heart attack at 50, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, again, legamre sipur acher. And that's very important information. And also, as the fathers, it's very, very important that you think about your own family history. So if you have a lot of problems with heart in your family or things like that, you want to try to not find a donor who has similar kinds of issues. You want to try to avoid that. I'm going to go quickly again. So this is what our profiles start to look like. We have 20-something page profiles. So my promise to you is that we work very hard, 3 to 6 months on every donor until we collect all that information. How many would you say we reject? 70, 80%? Something like that. 70, 80 we never take. And the ones who finally give us enough information and we accept, that's what you're getting. You're getting the information. Go on. Okay, here's a little game. I like talking about genetics. Lots of times people come to me and they have a vision in their head about what they're looking for. They want dark hair with dark eyes, it's just beautiful, and 5'6", and all kinds of, an idea. And they're looking at that one thing. So what I want to tell you is that it's a little bit of a fantasy. It's not true that if you find a donor who's dark hair and dark eyes, that's what the donor is actually giving you. Why? Because really what she's giving you is a whole family. You're getting a collective family history from this person, and she's giving you her whole family. And so you could get this idea of the donor, the dark hair and the dark eyes and the height, and then all of a sudden your baby's born, it's got blonde hair and blue eyes. So I always encourage people not to get so hooked up in the picture. And what the, okay, so now I want you to, anybody want to volunteer to get up here and tell me who the sisters in this picture are? If you get it right, I'm going to have to come up with a surprise for you. Try, somebody, be brave. Who's the sisters?
The blonde from the top.
Okay.
Is that.
This one?
No. At the bottom left.
These two.
That's it.
Anybody want to try? I don't want to ruin it yet. I want one more person. Somebody be brave. Go ahead. Does anybody think they know?
Both girls with curly.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so here. Those are the sisters. This and this are the sisters. Okay? If you use her as a donor, you can still get this. And if you use this as a donor, you can get this. So, again.
So do you supply also pictures of the family?
I am here to help every family get exactly what they need. Nobody is the same. I don't have two patients who have, if you want pictures of the family, we help you get pictures of the family. If you want to meet your donor, we help you meet your donor. If you want to Skype with your donor, we help you do that. If you just want to send letters and not meet, we could do that. So our matara is really to help. I'm not here to tell you the right way. I can make suggestions. I can tell you what I've learned in 16 years, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to talk to you until we figure out what's going to really be right for you. So yes, the answer is whatever you need, we're going to do it. I'm not going to ever tell you the bra size of a girl because I had somebody ask me that once. But it was a straight guy. I'm just going to tell you. Okay. I've been working in the Jewish community for 10 years. It's been amazing. I didn't plan this. I ended up here. It's a great story. I can tell you if you have time one day. But we are very committed to the Jewish community. And what that means for us is a few different things. One is, it's a small community. If you have a Jewish girl who helps 3 or 4 families, guess what? Then we have to start worrying about children. Are they going to meet on a birthright trip? And we are keeping track of our children. I don't want, and a lot of times parents who come to us aren't thinking about this. They're thinking, I want a baby now, you know? But 25 years from now, if your gorgeous daughter starts dating a guy and they have the exact same shape eyebrows and the same color eyes, and his mother's a little older, I don't need you to freak out. So we give information. I'm not telling you the names of the children who were born or those things, but we're telling you when they were born, the sex of the child. We're giving you enough, and we're keeping track of the children so that later, when your children move on in life, in the goat, you're not going to sit and worry, oh my God, how do I know how many kids she had? So we're keeping track. And I've been very concerned about this. This is not something I think we shouldn't worry about. I think we have to worry about this. The other thing is that we have been helping families find Jewish surrogates for 10 years. And it is extremely, extremely hard. I can't even begin to tell you how hard. But because I feel so strongly that it would help many families avoid problems, especially you living in Israel, coming back with children who were carried by non-Jewish surrogates, there were all kinds of issues with the Rabbanut. So for that reason, that's my motivation. Jewish Blessing recently has started a really big campaign. We're working very, very, very hard to go out into the Kehillah Yehudit in the United States and say to them, we need help. We need help with this. We need women who are willing to carry for our gay guys. I mean, we need help. Because I think that it should be an option you have. If you decide you don't want it, it's fine. But if it's something you want, I want to be able to say, I can do this for you. So right now we have a wait list. It's not like I have 5 Jewish carriers sitting there waiting. It's not like that. It's really a wait list. Hey, 2 more minutes. This one. Okay. You know how expensive this is? We have a tzedakah fund. It's not very large, but every family who comes to us and needs help, we give them $1,000 from the tzedakah fund to help them with it. Again, it's a small amount compared to how much you're paying, but we try to help in that way. And the other thing that I do, though, that really is intended to help you, is to help make you make smart decisions that keep the cost down. There are a lot of bad decisions that can get made. If you pick a clinic in Connecticut, and then you pick a donor from California, and you have Funaki from Minneapolis, you're paying 3 IVF clinics to do 1 cycle. I've heard people get terrible advice from all kinds of places. So for me, the best advice I can give you today is either the clinic you choose should be near your donor or your carrier, but not in a 3rd location, because you're flying from Israel. It's too much, and it's much more money. It's at least $5,000 to $7,000 extra for every person you start shipping, because you're also paying extra clinics. So I always say to patients, find your donor or your carrier, find somebody before you decide where you're going to do it. There are amazing clinics all over the United States. Be very careful about the statistics because the clinics aren't all the same. I can help you learn how to check how they're doing. It's very important for you to check. There is a difference in the outcome if you go to a clinic that doesn't have good statistics. And that's something I've seen over the years. And I think here, this is really what I want to say to you. For any of you who need my help, who want my help, we actually changed our program recently, and we have a charge to bring you into the program. While I'm here, I'm doing free consults, and I will bring anyone into the program. I'm not charging for it this time. I want to open the door for all of you. That's it.